The sun-baked cul-de-sacs of Desert Vista estates shimmered like a postcard nobody dared to wrinkle. Every blade of grass stood exactly 2 inches tall, every mailbox gleamed the approved shade of Tuscan beige, and every resident knew better than to let a single dandelion poke its rebellious head above the surface. Because in Desert Vista, perfection wasn't a suggestion, it was a commandment handed down by the one true god of the subdivision, Karen Whitmore. She patrolled the streets in her white golf cart like a shark in a pastel cardigan, clipboard glued to her hand, eyes narrowed behind oversized sunglasses that cost more than most people's mortgage payments. Karen didn't just enforce the HOA bylaws, she worshipped them, quoted them like scripture, and weaponized them like a tactical nuke. A basketball hoop left out after sunset? $250. A flag hung at the wrong angle? $500, and a public shaming at the monthly meeting. Kids laughing too loud on a Saturday? Noise violation, plus a lecture about respecting the community vibe. She called it preserving property values. Everyone else called it living in a velvet prison. Old Mr. Alvarez once left his trash can out 10 minutes too long. Karen had it towed. The Parkers' 8-year-old set up a lemonade stand, gone in 6 minutes flat, complete with a tearful child and a $300 fine for unauthorized commercial activity. Karen smiled through it all, voice honey-sweet. Rules are rules, dear. We're all in this together. Translation: do what I say or I'll make your life hell. Then, on a blistering June afternoon in 2024, a sleek black Tahoe rolled through the gates and parked at 1422, Mesquite Lane like it owned the desert. Out stepped Brigadier General Elena Vargas, tall, ramrod straight, dress uniform sharp enough to cut glass, silver stars glinting on her shoulders. Decorated combat veteran, West Point grad, the kind of woman who'd stared down actual warlords and won. The whole street seemed to hold its breath. Karen was watching from her living room window, lips pursed so tight they disappeared. A new neighbor was bad enough. A new neighbor who looked like she didn't bow to clipboards? Unacceptable. 3 days later, the first violation notice appeared on General Vargas's door at 6:47 a.m., non-compliant container gardening, Section 4.2. Remove within 72 hours or face daily fines. The offense? 2 terracotta pots of fresh basil and oregano on the porch. Practical, quiet, and apparently an aesthetic crime against humanity. General Vargas read the notice, raised one eyebrow, and left the pots exactly where they were. That afternoon, Karen's golf cart screeched to a halt in the driveway. She marched up the walk, heels clicking like gunfire. "You there," she barked, voice carrying across 3 lawns. "I see you've chosen to ignore the rules already. Those weeds on your porch violate our community standards." General Vargas stepped onto the porch, calm as a desert sunrise. "Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Elena Vargas. And you are?" "Karen Whitmore, president of the Desert Vista Homeowners Association. I run things around here." She jabbed a finger at the pots. "Remove them. Now." General Vargas tilted her head. Section 4.2 also states that all enforcement must be conducted in writing and during reasonable hours. It's 4:12 p.m. on a Saturday. You're on my property uninvited. Smile, you're on camera. She pointed to the sleek Ring doorbell. Karen's face flushed the color of overripe tomatoes. "You think you're special because you wear a uniform? This isn't the Army, General. This is civilized society." "Civilized?" General Vargas's voice stayed even, almost amused. "Funny. I've seen battlefields more polite than your welcome wagon." Karen stepped forward, snatched one of the heavy pots, and hurled it off the porch. Terracotta shattered across the walkway, dirt and basil leaves exploding everywhere. "There. Now it's in compliance." The street went dead silent. Then General Vargas spoke, low and steel-edged. "That was vandalism, trespassing, and destruction of private property. All captured on video. And that little performance you just put on, that was a hate crime, ma'am. Targeting me because of my heritage. As a commissioned officer in the United States Army, I'm required to report this up the chain, all the way to the Pentagon if necessary." Karen laughed, but it came out shaky. "Federal land? Please. You're in my neighborhood." "No," General Vargas replied, pulling out her phone. "But harassing a serving general officer under color of authority is a federal matter. You just made it one." Within 90 minutes, 2 unmarked black SUVs rolled through the gates. Not local cops, Department of Defense investigators with serious faces and sharper questions. By evening, the entire block knew. The military was asking about Karen Whitmore. Every fine, every threat, every whispered rumor from the last 7 years came spilling out like water from a broken dam. Mr. Alvarez told them about the towed trash can. The Parkers showed screenshots of the $300 lemonade fine. A dozen others described the anonymous complaints that somehow always traced back to Karen's email. And then the books. Turns out Karen had been skimming HOA funds for years. Community beautification, money that somehow paid for her new kitchen remodel, her daughter's private college, and monthly spa trips to Sedona. All meticulously hidden behind the same bylaws, she loved to quote. At the emergency HOA meeting 3 nights later, the room crackled like a powder keg. Karen sat at the head table, face pale, hands trembling as she clutched her precious clipboard. One by one residents stood up, not whispering anymore. "You fined me $400 for leaving my car in the driveway overnight while my wife was in labor," said Mr. Alvarez, voice steady. Section 9.1 says emergency exceptions apply. "You wrote that section." The Parker's daughter, eyes still red from the lemonade incident, held up her phone. "You told me little girls shouldn't play outside because it lowers property values." General Vargas didn't even need to speak. She simply played the porch video on the big screen. The sound of shattering pottery filled the room. Then her calm voice, "That was a hate crime." Karen tried one last stand. "This is a witch hunt. I was protecting our standards." The vote was unanimous. Under the very bylaws she'd written, any board member found in violation of their own rules, vandalism, harassment, financial misconduct, could be removed immediately and personally fined. Karen was stripped of her title, ordered to repay $87,000 in misused funds, and banned from ever serving again. The same security company she'd hired to tow trash cans now escorted her out the door while she sputtered about ingrates. The transformation was almost instant. Kids flooded the streets with bikes and basketballs. Impromptu block parties popped up, actual laughter, actual music, no clipboard in sight. The Parker's daughter reopened her lemonade stand, this time with a sign that read "Free for neighbors, $1 for Karen's lawyers." Mr. Alvarez planted sunflowers right at the curb, bright, tall, gloriously non-compliant. General Vargas? She quietly helped draft new bylaws, transparent voting, term limits, actual appeals process. The kind of rules that protect people instead of terrorizing them. Karen sold her house 6 weeks later at a loss. Last anyone heard, she was moving to a condo downtown where, rumor has it, the HOA consists of exactly one person who minds her own damn business. Desert Vista still has green lawns. But now they're green because people want them to be, not because they're terrified of a woman with a clipboard. So here's the question that still has the whole neighborhood arguing over backyard fences. Was Karen just a dedicated neighbor trying to keep things nice? Or did she finally meet the one person who could show her what real power and real consequences look like? Was this justice, or did the general bring a tank to a traffic ticket fight? Right or wrong, drop your verdict in the comments. Who truly got the karma they deserved?